Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Jamie. I'm with the Bard College Center for Civic Engagement, and I'm here in my kitchen ready to show you 4 cool science experiments that you can do about carbon dioxide in your own kitchen. Let's get started. For our first experiment, we're going to be making dancing raisins. The materials you'll need are some raisins, Sprite, a glass, and some tap water. Now before we put our raisins in the Sprite, let's come up with a guess to see what we think will happen if we put the raisins in a glass of water. Do you think they'll sink or float? Notice how the raisins just drop to the bottom of the water. Is that what you expected to happen? Now let's pour some Sprite into a cup. Do you expect anything different to happen when the glass is full of Sprite? Let's take a look. Have you ever wondered what those little bubbles in your soda are? They're actually made up of a gas called carbon dioxide. Now, raisins have a really rough surface, which means things can stick to them really easily. When we put the raisins in the Sprite, all of the carbon dioxide molecules stick to the rough surface of the raisins. The carbon dioxide molecules rise to the top of the Sprite, and they bring the raisins with them, causing them to float and dance at the top. Carbon dioxide floats because it's less dense than water. And if you want to learn a little bit more about density and do some experiments about density, you can go ahead and check out our video on density experiments. Alright, for our next experiment, we're going to be making an apple volcano. And in this experiment, we'll actually be making carbon dioxide of our own. The materials you'll need are an apple, a knife, a spoon, baking soda, vinegar, and a plate. What you're first going to want to do is have an adult help you use your knife and your spoon to hollow out the apple so it looks something like this. Now put about a teaspoon of baking soda inside of the apple. Pour some vinegar on top of the baking soda and watch it erupt. Now let's talk about why this happens. Most substances can be classified as an acid, a base, or neutral. Bases have a lot of hydroxide ions, while acids have a lot of hydrogen ions. In this case, the vinegar is an acid and the baking soda is a base. Now when we mix the two together, they create carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a gas, and the tendency of a gas is to rise up and out, causing the inside of the apple to explode. Alright, for this next experiment, we're going to be making a carbon dioxide sandwich. The materials we need are large plastic bags, smaller plastic bags, baking soda, and vinegar. For our first step, we'll fill our larger plastic bags with 1 tablespoon of baking soda. Now I chose to use 2 different bags, but you can use as many as you want because we'll be experimenting with how much vinegar we put in these smaller bags to see what kind of reactions we can get. I chose to fill these 2 smaller bags with 1/4 of a cup and 1/3 of a cup with vinegar. Now we're going to seal the smaller bags and then put them inside the larger bags with the baking soda. We want to try to get all of the air out of the bags and seal the larger bags with the smaller bags inside. Alright everybody, as you can see, I have moved out onto my deck because this experiment is messy and a little bit dangerous, which is why I have some safety goggles. to make sure if there is an explosion that no vinegar gets into my eyes. Alright, now as you can see, I have labeled my bags so I can tell which one has which amount of vinegar. This one has 1/3 of a cup and this one has 1/4 of a cup. So I'm going to make sure that these are sealed so we don't have any leakage. And something that I forgot to mention before was that you want to be sure to have some air in your vinegar packets, because what I get to do now is pop them. And I'm going to be popping them with my fist like that. So I want them to have a good amount of air to be sure that they are poppable. So what do you say? Let's give this a go and see if we make any explosions. I honestly don't know if this is going to be the perfect ratio to make an explosion, but I guess we'll find out. So make sure your safety goggles are on. Alright, 1/4 of a cup, here we go. Mix it up. And 1/3 of a cup. Alright, these are good and mixed, so let's step back and wait and see if they blow up. Alright, the bags have stopped fizzing and they didn't explode. They got pretty full. None of that gas was in there before because remember how we squeezed all the air out. So this is actually all carbon dioxide that we have created. But it still hasn't exploded, so I'm a little bit disappointed, but that's alright. I think the problem is that these bags are just really big. They're the only big bags that I had in my house, and I think the experiment calls for maybe a little bit smaller of a bag. So if you do this at home, be sure to leave a comment of how much baking soda and vinegar you decided to use. If you use a little bit more vinegar than me, maybe if you use 1/2 cup, then I think this will work a lot better. So now that we've seen a couple of carbon dioxide reactions, let's talk about some of the chemistry behind what is happening. Vinegar is also known as acetic acid, and it has the chemical compound of CH3COOH. This tells us that there are 2 carbons, 4 hydrogens, and 2 oxygens in vinegar or acetic acid. Now, baking soda, also known as bicarbonate, has the chemical compound of NaHCO3. So we know that there is 1 sodium, 1 hydrogen, 1 carbon, and 3 oxygens in baking soda or bicarbonate. Now, when we combine vinegar and baking soda, they start going through a chemical reaction. So those elements that I just mentioned will actually start combining with each other to make totally new substances. For example, 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen will combine to create water. Some other elements will combine to create sodium acetate, and most importantly, a carbon and 2 oxygens will combine to create carbon dioxide. Now, as we learned before, this carbon dioxide will expand and expand and expand until hopefully it's at the point where the bag can't hold it anymore and it'll explode out into the air. Alright, for our last experiment, we'll be doing something fun with all of the information that we just learned about carbon dioxide. We're going to be making fizzy lemonade from scratch. The materials you'll need are lemons. I have a bunch of them. The goal is to fill about 1/3 of a glass. You'll need baking soda, sugar, a cup, a spoon, tap water, and some ice if you want it to be cold. Your first step will be to juice the lemons until you have about 1/3 of your cup full of lemon juice. At this point, you can add about 1 teaspoon of sugar. This step is optional. You don't have to add sugar if you don't want your lemonade to be sweetened. Then you'll fill the rest of the cup with water. Next, we will add a teaspoon of baking soda. This step is not optional because, as you remember from our other experiments, baking soda creates a chemical reaction to make carbon dioxide. Alright, I'm gonna try it. It's pretty good. It could use, I think, a little bit more sugar. I might have added too much lemon juice, but it's definitely fizzy, so we definitely made some carbon dioxide in there. Alright, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, my name is Jamie. I'm with the Center for Civic Engagement at Bard College. I hope that you enjoyed these 4 easy experiments you can do at home about carbon dioxide. Be sure to check out our channel for some more really easy kitchen science experiments that you can do while you're at home. I hope you're staying safe, I hope this was fun, and please tune in for more.